So greetings to all. We warmly welcome you all to this workshop on Python. Uh, right. So we are Digital India University Club warmly welcome you all to this workshop. We hope that by now everybody is keeping well and might have accustomed to the university.
My name is Dhun Kumar,
And this is the Vijay.
serving as the President and Member Secretary of the DIUC Club for this academic year.
With the vision that our Honorable Prime Minister carried, technology empowers the less empowered. If there is a strong force that brings a change in their lives of those of the margins, it is technology. Back then in 2015, the government of India realized the need for digital innovation, and from there the story begins.
At present, the Digital India Initiative is one of the flagship programs of the Government of India and is running with the vision to transform India into a digital empowered society and knowledge economy. Given that we live in 21st century and are a part of the technological revolution that is taking place, Amity University with the British launched the Digital India University Club with the vision to empower and equip the youth the most relevant digital skills.
At present, the Digital India Initiative is one of the flagship programs of the government of India and is running with the vision to transform we live in the 21st century and are a part of technological revolution that is taking place. Amity University launched the Digital India University Club with a vision to empower and equip the youth with most relevant skills.
Now, I would like to invite our esteemed speaker for the day, Mr. Anirudh Chaudhary, sir, who is a senior tech lead at Ericsson Research and Department, an ex in NetApp, and he has also worked at IBM Labs. He's a professional Python developer and has his own personal blog that's csestack.org that sir will be introducing everyone right now, and also the author of the book Cracking Python Interviews. Over to you, sir.
Yeah. Let me share my screen. Yeah. My screen is visible to you?
Yes,
Yes, it's visible.
Yeah. So you are seeing my slides over there, right? Digital Python for Digital India.
Yes, sir. The web page
Okay,
is
all right. Yeah. Yeah. So thanks, Doon, and thanks, Divya. It was really nice to connect you in this morning. And I welcome everyone out there to be participant of this technical sessions. And technical session is all about like most in demand skill to amplify your career. Uh, in other words, like we can also say digital Python for Digital India. And I will I need your 90 minutes attention for this program, and it's really going to be game changing for you. There will be a lot of takeaways from these sessions. I hope for that. And so what we're going to cover in this uh, session is like I will introduce you about the Python coding, and then I will tell you about the industrial uses and career opportunities. That means like why everyone is talking about the Python and what is going to be how it's going to impact your career going further if you opt for the Python technology. Then I will tell you like we all know that like this world is all about the data. And data is the new oil right now, and everyone is getting into that. So I will tell you like why Python is so good for statistic analytics, and I will also demonstrate some visualization that you can create with the Python. So and I will introduce you with the trending Python libraries, and later like we will conduct some coding contest. That coding contest will be like just a brief like what you get from the session, like what did you learn from the session. This is brief about this session, and so what all I need from you guys is like just the 90 minutes and 90 minutes your attention, and once you give that 100% attention, there will be a lot of takeaways for you from this session. Okay. So Doon and Divya has already introduced you me, and I will just you brief about myself. So like myself, Anirudh Chaudhary, a professional Python developer, and primarily I work into the backend development. Apart from that, I have exposure to the data science, data analytics as well, but primary I work into the backend development. I have like 8+ years of IT experience, so working with the Ericsson R&D, NetApp, and IBM Labs. Prior to that, like I completed my MTech from NIT Trichy. I started this blog csstack.org. I will. Uh, this is like if you go over here, you can see that blog. So here you will find all the programming tutorials and coding, and there are a lot of people who share their interview experiences. So you can just go through that. I will share the. You don't need to take any notes out there right now. I will share all the important links to you at the end of this session. Okay. Now. Hmm, yeah. And I also authored this book, Cracking Python Interviews. So this is a brief about myself. Yeah. Let's jump to the Python programming language. So just before getting into this slide, I just wanted to know, like, I am not sure like how many people are aware of the Python programming technology, but this is one of the very trending programming language, and like everyone is talking about that programming language. Um, there are a lot of top companies uses Python. So everyone, I'm sure, like everyone is aware of the Netflix, Facebook, Google, YouTube, Bitbucket, Freelancer, IBM, Yahoo, and you just name it. And these companies basically use the Python for their product development or like somewhere in their development stack. So it's like even like I think like we are live on the YouTube, and on YouTube also they are for live streaming they use the Python programming language and technologies out there. These are the top companies. Apart from there are a lot of other companies that are also leveraging Python development, but these are just few of them. Now coming to what is the Python, right? So it's like if you like have even little programming background, so you will be knowing that what is Python programming language. But like those the or those who don't have any knowledge about any coding programming language. So I will just brief them like this is general purpose programming language, and it can be also used for this as a scripting language. So I will differentiate that. What does that mean? Programming language and scripting language. Mm. And Python is an interpreted language. So basically, when we talk about any programming language, there are two terminologies. One is like compiled programming language or like interpreted programming language. So Python is like bytecode interpreted programming language. I will not get dive into that because it will take entire new session, and that is not the scope of this tutorial. So I will not much elaborate on this topic, but you just like keep this in mind. Like Python is like a bytecode interpreted programming language, and so going through the sessions, like I'm not saying like you will learn each and everything about the Python programming language, but because like even for me also like I have like 8+ years of experience, and prior to that I was in my curriculum also academic, I was using the Python programming language, and I'm still learning that. So if you really want to be expert in any programming language, it takes years and decades because like there are a lot of new stuff will be coming in the Python programming and technologies. So I will not guarantee you like you will learn each and everything out there within the 90 minutes. This is not the scope of this session as well. So basically, what you can expect from this session is like you will understand like what's the Python programming language, how you can. I will introduce you that Python programming language, how to execute the code. I will also introduce you some of the basic concept that will help you to understand like how the executions happens in the Python programming. And I will also demonstrate you some industrial use cases so that you can find a relevancy like where you can use the Python programming language. Okay. So this is the aim of this session. And during the sessions, like if you have any question, you can just drop that in the chat section. So probably at the end of this sessions, like I will go through all the questions and answer them. Okay. Now this is like what is I already told you like Python is general purpose programming language, and this is also called as scripting language. Okay. And scripting language. So Python is also bytecode interpreted language. So what is the difference between programming and scripting language? So basically, um, so what happens is like whenever you write a code, right? So you when you execute that, so you convert that into the object, and that when you run that object, this is nothing but the compiled programs. It's like you read the entire program, you make an object of that, and then you execute that. But what is that scripting means? Like in the scripting, you what you do is nothing but the interpretation. So what it does is like you just run execute one command one after another. So this is like a scripting language. Basically, Python falls into the both programming and scripting language. I will demonstrate how you can run a single program using the Python, or you can also run the Python as a scripting language. So coming to the history of the Python. So Python is invented in Netherlands early 90s by Guido van Ransom. He's the inventor of the Python programming language. So when you look into that, it was invented in 90s. You can see that like uh, this programming language is more than 30 years over here. So you can understand the legacy and people still using this programming language. So you can uh, this is how you can find out the impact of the any programming language. So because like when the Java or C++ programming work came and was invented, that time like it was very many people were using that, but later the use and scope of the programming language started decreasing it. But this is not the case of the Python programming language. Even after the 30 years, this Python programming language is making its impact on the industry. The first idea of the Python programming language came in 1980s, and it was started implementing in 1989. So you might be wondering like why Python, why this programming language is called as Python. And so the inventor of this programming language, Guido van Ransom, so he was really big fan of Monty Python's Flying Circus. This is a famous TV show in the Netherlands, and this Python programming language is named after the Monty Python famous TV show in the Netherlands. Like there is nothing much fancy, but this is really many of the people are not aware of. But this is the background why they have named it the Python programming language. And it's like the Python is also open source programming language from the beginning itself. And there is like a huge big community over there managing that. But this is open source programming language, you can you can use the Python programming language to develop your personal project, academic project, or even you can develop your commercial projects. And this is open source. You don't have to give liability to any particular organization for that. So this is like entirely open source programming language. So like I said, like Python was invented in 1990s, but they started developing this programming language in 1980s as well when they got the idea about it. So like I will give you a brief like why they thought of inventing Python programming language. So at that times, like most of the people were using the C programming language, and what all we know is like even to write a single print statement or a single line of to execute single line of code, you have to write a big you have to write a long program for that. So that is they find it like we can overcome this problem, because like even to execute some to even to show the some output, you have to write a huge code. They wanted to write a small program. So that is what they started developing the Python programming language. And apart from the C programming language, there was a shell scripting. So basically, shell is nothing but like I'm not sure like how many people are aware about the Linux over here, but the shell is nothing but to execute some with the shells you can execute some commands on your Linux terminal, right? So this is nothing but the shell is nothing but the scripting language. So they wanted to create some bridge between these two, C programming language and shell, so that like it should be the Python programming should be faster as compared to the shell, and you should have to write a small program as compared to the C. That is why they thought of like creating the Python programming language. Um, So when you talk about the Python programming language, so the I will talk about the scope of the Python programming language. Uh, we all know that like C, C++, and Java. So when you talk about this programming language, there are like very particular uses of that programming language. When we talk about the C programming, so basically the C programming is used to build the we can use the we can build the desktop applications or like it has very sorted purpose, but when you talk about the Java, basically we use the Java for the web application, and then we started the using the Java even for the mobile application developed. That Kotlin is like a new programming language, and that is based on the uh, Java programming. So it has very limited scope, C, C++ and Java. But when you talk about the Python, is like this is where we can use the Python. So basically, we can use the Python for data analytics and data science. We can use the Python for artificial intelligence, machine learning, automations. We can write a lot of automation script using the Python. We can there are a lot of web frameworks like to build the web applications in the Python. And then you can also develop the mobile application and desktop application, but uh, I will not recommend you the Python for mobile application because like one of the disadvantage you might be wondering like I'm always talking about good about the Python programming language, but the one of the disadvantage of Python programming language disadvantage in the sense as compared to the C, C++ and Java. Python programming language is a bit slower as compared to the C, C++ and Java, and that is why like one of the primary case, I would not recommend use the Python programming language for the mobile application development because when we develop the mobile application, the first thing that comes in our minds as a developer is like your application should be faster and it should be highly responsible based upon the user uses, right? So that is what like I would not recommend and Python for mobile application development, but we can use Python for mobile application development as well. And we use the Python for the testing as well. So a lot of like companies like using the Python for the testing. There are a lot of testing frameworks out there. So if you wanted to be a tester or like quality engineer, so Python is for you as well. This is the hacking, so we can use the Python for hacking as well. So as I told you, right? So Python is like a programming language also, or we can use it as a scripting language also. So there are a lot of libraries that we can use as a script in the Python to accomplish some hacking tasks, ethical hacking tasks. Yeah. So whether you want to be data analytics, data science, artificial intelligence, machine learning developer, automations, or like apart from that, there are other technologies as well where you can use the Python programming language. So if you wanted to get into any of this field, definitely Python is a programming language you should learn. Okay. So this is nothing but the same thing, scope and what we can do with the Pythons. These are the almost same thing. We can do the system programming using the Python. We can use we can do the web development. We can create the graphical user interface using the Python. We can write the internet scripting. We can use this Python programming language for component integration. Component integration in the sense like there are a lot of technologies that we work on, and if you wanted to connect those, like suppose just to give example, if you're working on data science project but like you want to create this as a web application, so you have to connect you have to integrate those components like web applications and your actual data science projects and data analytics projects. So it's like you can use the Python for component integration as well. And the Python programming language is like a database programming language. So when you run any applications or when you talk about any applications, data is very important, and we save that data in the database for the future users, right? So Python is a programming language that we can use for database management as well. There are libraries. With that libraries, basically you can just execute the commands. You can read the data from the database. You can write the database data into the database. And we can use the Python for gaming, image processing, then XML, and then robotics. So these are the few of the fields that where we can use the Python as well. Apart from that, there are other fields where you can use the Python programming language. So when we talk about like who uses a Python today, right? So I already told you like what are the companies leveraging the Python programming language, but we'll get into the more specific use cases. This is very few use cases. Google makes the extensive use of the Python in the web search. So we all know that like Google is the biggest search engine right now, and there is no competitor for them. Um, we have competitors, but like Python is really dominating as a web search system. So Python uses the Google uses the Python programming language to facilitate us a web searching system. And when we talk about the hardware companies or the networking companies, primarily these are the companies that we always talk about: Intel, Cisco, HP, Seagate, Qualcomm, and IBM. These are like really hardware companies, and they are also into the networking. So these companies also use a Python for hardware testing. So this is use case when I elaborated while talking about the scope of the programming language. So we can use the Python for testing as well. So we can use the Python for the GIS mapping as well. So we use Google Maps and all that, right? So we already familiar with the importance of the GIS, and that's where we can use even in that field we can use the Python. Everyone aware about the YouTube, right? So video YouTube is nothing but a video sharing service. So most of the components of the YouTube even written in the Python programming language. Instagram. So when we talk about Instagram, we always think like mobile application, and you might be wondering like I told you like we should not use the Python for the mobile application development. So then why the Instagram using the Python programming language? Basically, when you talk about the mobile application or web development, there are two entities out there mainly. One is like a front end. Front end is nothing but the UI that you see on your mobile screen, and there is a backend. So backend is nothing but the processing that happens when you click on any button. So something happens, right? So all the operations when you click on any button. So what are all the operations that you want to do will be happen in the backend. Like processing the data, reading your data, then putting that data into the database and getting data from the back to the end user. So these operations performed by the backend development. So basically, Instagram uses Python for backend development. I'm not talking about the front end development, but I'm talking about the backend development. That's what they are using it. And it was like just a couple of years back. So Instagram were using the Python 2 programming language earlier. Uh, Python 2, Python, there is like, there are two main versions in the Python. One is like Python 2 and Python 3. I will elaborate that differences to you, but just keep that in mind right now. So a couple of years back, the Instagram were using the Python 2, but just like 2 or 3 years back, I'm not able to recollect exact, but they moved from Python 2 to Python 3. And these are the very few use cases and the companies using the Python programming language. So you might be wondering, why do people use the Python and why everyone is talking about the Python in today's world? So basically, Python is object-oriented programming language. So if you are coming from a background from any of the, if you're coming from programming background, or if you have little bit knowledge about the codings and all that, you might be knowing that what is object-oriented programming. But this is entirely new topic. So if you are not aware, just keep that. Um, but just remember, like Python is object-oriented programming language. It's a free and open source, so that is what like I told you, like why most of the company using the Python programming language. So it's like open source. So this programming language is open source since like it was invented in 1990s. Yeah. So you can just download, install on your systems, and you can use it. You can develop your personal project. You can develop your academic project. You can even develop your commercial projects, and you don't have to give any loyalty for that. So it's like completely open source and free programming language. It's a powerful. I mean, like there is like there are few terms that I would like to put over here. Why I say is like Python is a powerful programming language. So this programming language is dynamic typing. So while going to, I will introduce you some of the basics of the Python coding, and at that time I will explain you what is the dynamic typing. And there are like built-in types and tools. So like you can just you can use those tools there to write your Python program. And there are like huge set of libraries and utilities out there. So what happen is like you don't have to write every code from the scratch. And I will demonstrate this part as well. You can just import those libraries. That those libraries are already written by someone else and it is open source for you to use. You just have to import those libraries and you can use them. You don't not need to write the code from the scratch. That is what the and this is literally making the difference. And this is what like many people find this is very productive programming language as compared to the other programming language, because this is one reason. It has a huge or like large set of libraries out there available. So there are like a lot of third-party utilities like Numeric, NumPy, SkyPy. So these are the libraries out there. I will tell you like I will also in one of the slides I will also demonstrate what are the important libraries you can explore. And it's like when we come talk about the C, C++, and Java, right? Basically, if you are a developer, you will know that like it's like it is really cumbersome task to manage a memory. And like sometimes what happens is like if you are running mobile applications and it consumes a lot of memory, your mobile hangs and all that, right? This is because of like poor memory management. So Python basically performs automatic memory management. You don't have to write a single line of code to manage your memory. Okay? So this is like this is why the Python is very powerful programming language. And next point is like Python is a portable programming language. Uh, Python can run virtually on every major platform used today. So when you talk about virtual platforms, so basically like Windows is one system, another is Linux system. There are a lot of flavors in the Linux, right? So then there is like Mac OS. So these are the OS out there or the platforms, in other words, and we can perform or like we can execute this Python programming language on these platforms, and even apart from this one, we can use it for another platform. So basically, we just need to download the Python compiler, install on your system, and use it. So it's very much portable, and if all the programming syntax and execution of the programming language will be same irrespective of the platform that you are using. So this is why like we can consider the Python is highly portable programming language. Before getting into the installation of the Python, let me I have another slides where I talk about the few of the points. So these are the big players that I already told, like they are leveraging the Python programming language. So these are the different domains where we can use the Python. So we can use the Python for the graphical user interfaces. There is a Tinker library out there. There is a web frameworks to develop the web application. So some of the web frameworks are Django, Flask, Portal framework. We can use the for mobile or gaming development. I would not recommend that, but we can use this Python programming language for that purpose as well. We use in the science as well, like we can use it for molecular biology and other science projects as well. We can use the Python for the natural language processing. So you know that like why like natural language is like getting it's like a lot of companies are developing their project based upon the new natural language. So it's like Marathi, Hindi, English. So they use the Python programming language for that processing as well, because like your computer or the high programming language, even the Python programming language is already written in the English, right? So it's like at least we have to write the syntax in the English language. So they come up with the two libraries that we can use to translate your um, natural languages into the English language or the vice versa. So we can use the Python for the data visualization also. I will demonstrate that. And then we can use the Python for the scientific computing. So this is NumPy, Pandas. There are a lot of libraries out there we can use for the science, in science. So like during all my slides till now, I was talking like I was comparing the Python with the Java and C++, and I was always talking the positive notes about the Python, right? But this is not just me who is talking about the Python. So this is a Google train, right? This is a Google train, and from this Google train, I will explain like why Python is game changing and like how it can be game changing for you as well, or like career changing for you as well. So it's like if you look into this Google train, right? So a red line is depicted in the depicted for the Java, yellow is for the C, and blue is for the Python. So if you look into the this graph is from 2004. So if you look into the 2004, as Java was very much popular. You can see that like how many people are using it. Like this is like the vertical rating is percentage of the average, right? So it's like most of the people who are using the Java programming language, and that time like even the programming language was popular more than the Python. But over the year, if you look into that 2 days time in 2022, you can see that the usage of the Python is increasing day by day. And when you talk about the and it's almost consistent from 2004 to 2022. Right now, the scope of the Python programming language is increasing day by day. But when it talks about the uses of the Java and C++ programming, you can see that the uses of the C++ and Java programming language is declining day by day. And this is, I'm not saying this, this is like from the Google train. Okay. You can also check this Google train by yourself. And so what are the features of the Python programming language? So most of the points I already covered, like this is free and open source. This is highly readable. That point we missed to cover, but it's a highly readable programming language. So when I will demonstrate the coding, you will understand like how easy is that. Like even if you read the code, you will understand what developers want to perform. So this is like Python is highly readable programming language, and there is like automatic memory management. You don't have to write any explicit code to manage your memories out there. It's like it has a clean visual layout. It supports oops is nothing but the object oriented concepts that I talk about, and it's like this is also like high performing programming language. And we all know that like Python programming, like today data is a new oil. So it's like I know that like earlier people were used to say like those are the countries having huge resource of the oil. Those are rich countries. And even like when you talk about the Ambani, like he has a business most around the oils earlier, but he's with the Reliance project and the mobile networking and 5G, they are also getting into the data. So now data is a new oil. So it's like all the data driven technologies uses the Python. So what are the technologies comes in the data driven domains like data analytics, web development, data science, automation, web scripting, machine learning, business intelligence, and you just name it, like whatever the data driven technology is there, there we can use the Python program. So basically, I told you like there are two versions of the Python programming language. One is like Python 2 and the Python 3. And it was like the Python 2, earlier people were using the Python 2, and now many of the there is also Python 3 version. So many people use any of those versions, but if you are new to the Python programming language, I would recommend you to get into the Python 3. Many of the companies, those who are under early development were using the Python 2, they have already moved to the Python 3. Um, and like I just told you, I already given you example, like Instagram is using the Python programming language for their backend. So, and even the Quora using the Python programming language. I'm pretty sure like everyone knows and aware of the Quora, right? So, and Python 3 is like Instagram couple of years back, they moved from the Python 2 to Python 3. So if you are new to the Python programming language, you always go with the Python 3. And I mean, like, what are the developments, new development happenings? It's like happening in some using the Python 3 versions. But still, some of the companies still using the Python 2. But this is the legacy, and in future they already have planned to move from Python 2 to Python 3. So why Python, right? So why Python? It's easy to learn, read, and maintain the code. Python is very readable programming language. Even if you read some code, you can understand what developers want to perform. So there are like broad set of open source libraries out there. Then it's so object-oriented concepts, interpreted prompt. I will show you like how you can use the interactive prompt. Sorry, it's interactive prompt. Then we can use it has also database supports, and we can use the Python programming language as a scripting language. It's highly scalable programming language. You can integrate the Pythons with the other programming language as well, and there is automatic memory management, so you don't have to do it explicitly. So these are the main points I would say, like why everyone is using the Python programming. This is the roadmap. So this is what we are going to cover in this session. Basic Python. So with this basic Python, I will introduce some of the data structures, algorithm, and how to explore the different data types. And I will tell you like what are the uses of the Python program. After this basic Pythons, I will introduce some of the use cases of the Python programming language. And based upon your choices, you have to learn those technologies in the Python. Suppose like you can be a web developer also, like learning the Python. But for that, you have to learn different skill set. If you wanted to use the data science, you have to use a different skill set, and for the QA testing, you need a different skill set. So, but these skills are uh, mostly is like based upon the Python programming language. And even like I already have like 8 years of experience. I cannot say like I'm expert in the Python. There is always something to learn in the Python programming language. So if you want to be persistent in the IT industry, you may just keep this in mind. You have to keep practicing, and you should have that eagerness. So if you don't today, if you are not eager to learn, it's not only about the Python programming language, but it's like all coding development, whatever happens in the IT industry. If you don't get used to with the new technology, you will be thrown out of this IT world in the next 10 years, because there are drastically changes happening over the years. So you have to, you should have that mind, and you, I mean, you should be prepared that you should keep learning. I mean, you have to keep improving yourself. Yeah, no, these are like after that, like it was like as most of over here is like joining this Amity University into the engineering fields, and like when we develop something out there, you can start building the small project that will help you to showcase to the other people. You can also write the blog, join the meetups, connect to the like-minded people. These are the points that I would recommend. Like you should always connect with the people to understand what's going in the industry. Okay, this will help you. Now, I will skip these slides. I will explain this later. Now we'll go to our primary slides again. So we already covered this. Like now, this is all about the Python programming language. Now I'm pretty sure, like I hope for that, like everyone is aware of the Python programming language and why it's trending today. Now we will get into the some of the steps that you can use to learn Python programming language. So I will talk about the installation first, and after that I will demonstrate how to execute the code in Python. Okay. So basically, if you, this is like this is official Python website, and you can just hit this website. The website is like python.org, and you can simply download the Python version. Like there are like you can download it for the Linux, Mac OS, or the Windows as well. So as I'm using the Mac OS, it's automatically showing me downloadable version for Mac OS. But if you open the on Windows, you will see the Windows. So otherwise, you can just go to these links as well. You can just simply download this programming language and install it. So installation is pretty much easy, just as like we install any software on your system or on your website or the sorry, on your laptop or the computer. It's pretty much the same. Um, so it's like here I already written the tutorials, the articles like how you can install the Python on the Windows, and these are the steps like you can use to install the Python on the Windows system. Is like this is just download. You have to set the environment. You have to check the Python installation, and you just have to run the Python program. It's very much easy. I already given all the steps, and you don't need to take any notes out there or the remembering the URLs. I will at the end of the sessions. I will share all these links with you. Okay, and you can also install the Python on the Linux system. So this is pretty easy. It's just like a few commands, like if you look into the Linux, right? So you don't have to download as well. You just have to run this command. This single command will install Python on your Linux system. So this is like Python 2.7, but you can use the latest Python version. So yeah, you can use the 3.10, which is nothing but the latest Python version. Mhm. Yeah. So yeah, this is the latest, most recent Python 3 version, and this is the 2.7 version, latest Python 2.7 version. And yeah, and one more point, like I would like to mention when I talk about the differences between Python 3 and Python 2, which programming language, which version you should use, you should always go with the Python 3.10. And as even the official support for the 2.7 is removed. There is no official support right now for the Python 2. Okay. Yeah, these are the steps like, and it's very pretty much easy. Now I will demonstrate like how you can execute the Python program, right? So um, I'm using right now, this is like Mac OS that I'm using, but the steps that I'm going to demonstrate you is like, it's going to be same for you irrespective of your platform. That is what like Python is a platform, um, is like platform independent programming language. Now, you can, I'm just opening the terminal over here. You can open this terminal or the command from on your Windows system and Linux as well. So I already have the Python installed, so I don't have to run those Python install steps. But once you do that, like what you can do is you just have to type Python. Uh, when you click on that, you can see that we are running Python 3.9, 13, but this was the latest Python version I was using when I installed this Python programming language on my system. Okay, but you always go with the latest one. Okay, so this is Python 3.9, and if you look into this one, this is nothing but the Python prompt, and on this Python prompt, you can execute your code. So basically, suppose like if you want to print hello world, simple. This is the like first program you will always write to irrespective of the language you are learning. So this is a print statement. So basically, what you have to write, you just have to write print, and then you have to just enclose the string inside the opening and closing braces, right? So I'm just writing hello world. When I enter this code will I mean like what the Python do here is like they read your this line and it will execute in the backend and will get the output. Okay. So here I got the output hello world. So basically the print statement we use to print some uh, strings out there on your console. So this is we use the print statement. And we can also perform some mathematical operation on this. Suppose like if you like suppose like 2 plus 3, this is nothing but a mathematical operation. When you do that, like you can see the output is 5, but this is very small uses. Like you can see that like you can use a Python as like a calculator as well. But there are even it looks very simple for us, but there are a lot of operations gets performed in backend, right? When you run this command, and if you want to perform same addition or the plus operation on your Java or C++, at least you have to write a 4 to 5 line of code. But in case of Python, it's just like as usual. So that is where like if someone asks you like how to calculate the addition of two numbers, you always say a plus b, right? So you always say a plus b, and that is what like it's similar to the Python programming language. So it's like you can see that like Python is very much readable. If you can perform just the operation over here, we are just dividing number a by b. Now we can also perform some multiplication operation. We can also perform some subtraction. So you can see minus one. So this is what like you can use Python programming language in interpreter prompt. And now what happened is like many times when you execute the program, you also have to get the input from the user, right? So input in the sense like if you go to the any website, right? So you for to you when you go to the any website, you have to log in there. So basically, you have to provide a username and your password. That is nothing but the input to the program or the web application. Similar to that, you can also provide the input to your Python program. So just like we can use the input, and then I will just mention mm, enter your score. I will just enter this one. Now they're asking me enter your score. So when I suppose like 45, okay, you can see that I already got that input, but you can assign that input to the one variable also. Suppose like I'm just taking variable score and I'm just running this one. Now I will give suppose like I'm just giving 75 is a score. Now what happened is I have saved this value 75 into this variable. So now I can use this variable score. If I type the score, I will say 75. I can also use a print statement to print that score. Like I can just change this little bit. Uh, my score is my score is so so you can give multiple strings into the print to get into the output. So this is one string. This is we can also pass the variable. So those strings and variables should be separated by the comma. Okay. So when if you run this one, you can see my score is 75. So basically the 75 is nothing but the value. So whatever you put inside the whatever you put inside the whatever you put inside the code, right? So that will be printed as it is. And when you add something um, without code, that it's nothing but a variable and will print the value of that variable. That is what its difference is like difference between providing the code and not providing the code. So this is how, and this is nothing but the Python prompt. Okay. This is how we can use the Python programming language. Um, Code execution. So I already told you like now I will tell you like another use case. I will come out of this Python prompt. You just have to run the exit command, and once you run that, you will come out of this Python prompt. Okay. Now I am into this. Now I can also create the um, sample text Python .py. So it's like Python programming language. So if you want to write some Python, now we were using the Pythons on the command prompt, but we can also use Python to run, right? So you can we can write a big program and you can execute that. So when you write any code into any files, you have to give this extension .py. So just like when you write programming in C, C++, you have to use .c and .c++ or CPP, .cpp. These are the extension we use it for the C and C++ respectively. For the Java programming language, we use extension .java. So similar to that, we can use the Python. So when you use that, this is nothing but the notepad. Okay. So I can just write any program here. I'll just write print hello world. Now I'm just going to save this program. Now you can see this program, right? And you can see this is the program. I'm just printing this whatever there in this file. This is nothing. You can write this file something your notepad as well. Okay. Now I want to execute this Python program. So basically I can just run Python samples.py. Now you can see that output hello world. Right? So basically this is just a single line program, but you can write you can write as many lines of code as you want. So like welcome to Python. Now what happened is like in command prompt, we were executing one line at a time, right? Now we have written two lines, but you can write as many as you want, and we are just want to execute them. So like see, the first line was executed, and we print the hello world. After that, like we execute the second line and we print the welcome to the Python. So this is how you can run Python in command prompt or like Python prompt, or we can use the Python to run your Python script as well. Okay. So we already seen like these mathematical operations that you can perform in the Python programming language. We already see add, subtract. Yeah, and basically one more thing, like we can also use a Python online compiler. This is the compiler that we have developed on our CSS Stack portal, csstack.org portal. I will share the link of this portal at the end of this session. So basically, you can also write a program. Suppose like I'm just writing the Python program here. After that, you have to choose the Python programming language, and I'm choosing here. And then I will just click on the run button. So when I click on run button, you can see that my program is getting executed, and we got the output. Okay. Now this like I can just you can just write the code over here. Welcome to CSS stack. Now when I click that, you can see that your program is getting executed, and this you can use this ID, online ID. You don't need to use this ID. You don't need to do any installable. You have to do any installation on your system. Basically, you just have to open your browser, open this link, and you are good to go. You can just write your Python program and execute over here. Okay. And suppose like this is like ID we can use. Um, Now, I will use this ID because that will be easy for us to execute the program. Okay. Now, so we can perform all mathematical operations that I already demonstrate you. Now you can use the conditional statement as well. Like these are nothing but the mathematical operation that we can perform, right? Suppose like uh, suppose like if you print, right? If you want to check like whether the if you want to check like I will wait. It will be easy to check over here. Suppose like there is two numbers, like we are assigning a value to the A, and sorry, I think now I'm just assigning value to the A is like 30, and now I'm assigning another variable as like 56. Now I want to check like which number is greater. Suppose like I'm going to print, I just want to check which number is greater. Suppose like I'm just giving print A greater than B. So it will tell this condition is a false because like A is greater than B. So this condition will be false. Now if we change this one to this one, it will return true. So basically what does that mean is A is smaller than B because like 30, the value of A is 30 and value of B is 56. So value A is smaller than B. So this is nothing but the mathematical operation to compare the two objects. Okay. So similar to that, like we can check these conditions. You can give smaller than, equal to, greater than, or like not equal to, true, false. So true, false is nothing but the Boolean operator because it's like Boolean. It's like nothing but a Boolean data type. So it's like just nothing but the true or false. Like true means one, false means zero. Strings in the Python. So string is nothing. Now I will introduce a few of the very basic data types in the Python. So one of the data type is a string, and So string is nothing but is nothing but a set of the characters. So suppose like if I'm giving message and this mm, is like I can just is like college. I'm just giving college and here Amity. I'm just writing this Amity. Okay. So when you execute this program, right? So you can see that I created this variable and I'm just assign this value to that variable. This is nothing but the string. String is nothing but a set of the characters. Now, now I can just print this variable. It's like I can just say college. You will get the Amity. You can just change this one. My college is so you can see that my college is Amity. So we print this as it is in our console. And after that, we just print the value of this variable. So value of this variable is Amity. So the complete thing is my college is Amity. Okay. And we can perform a lot of operations on the Python program. We can perform a lot of operation on the strings. I will is like now what I can do is like college. I can also perform plus operation. Suppose like college, I will just message and just like welcome to. I'll just created this string as a message welcome to. Now I want to concatenate two strings. So basically concatenation is nothing but the uh, attaching first string to the another string. Okay. So what I can do is I can just write the print statement and like I can just say message plus college. Okay. When we do that, like you can see that we concatenate this thing. So now we're showing welcome to Amity. Okay. This is nothing but a concatenation operation. Now, when you provide the string, it will perform concatenate operations. If you provide integer value, it will perform addition operation. This is a polymorphism, or like many programming language term it as a polymorphism. But this is like based upon the input to this operator, uh, it performs different operation. If you provide the string, it will perform concatenation operation, and if you provide the integer value to this operation, then it will perform addition operation. Okay. So this is how you can do that. Now you can even now you can even perform multiplication operation on the Python string. Suppose like if I'm doing, you might be wondering what's the output. But if you run that, you will see Amity, 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 Amity. I mean, like it's just printing Amity 4 times. So when you multiply string by any number, it will perform multiplication operation on the string. Like it will print that multiple times. Okay. You can make it even a little bit more complex. Like I can just say, I will just adding in. So what we are saying is like just perform first concatenation operation and after that just multiply it by 4. So when you run that, you can see that we are just adding the space in between those string. So this is how we can perform concatenation and multiplication operation on the string. And you can also find out the length of the string. Suppose like if you want to check the length of that college, you can see that this length is nothing but the number of character into that variable. So the value of the college is Amity, so it has 5 character. Okay. So this is what like there are other operations also we can perform. I will share those links so that you can just go through that and check that, because like it's not possible for us to cover all the operations that we can perform in the Python string. So now the coming to the variable, variable is nothing but the when you assign any value to that particular object, it's nothing but a variable. So when we do this, like when you execute this program, here Amity is nothing but the value and the college is nothing but the variable. So we are just assigning this value to this variable, and we can use this value like we are just when you do the print operation for that variable, it prints a value. Okay. This is how you can perform variable. You can create the variable. And as I said, right? So earlier, I was talking about the Python is a dynamic type programming language. Why is that? So suppose like when I execute this, line of code, it will assign this value to this variable. So if we do that type, it's like there are different data types. So in Python, or it's like when you do the type and if you do the college, right? So basically it will tell us like what is the type of this object. Now the type of this object is nothing but the string. Str is nothing but the string. Now to the same object, to the same variable college, I'm just assigning some value 56. Okay. When you do that, now if I do the typing, um, it is saying like this variable is nothing but the integer type. So basically, when you execute this program, the type of this variable was a string, but when you execute this line of code, the type of the same variable was integer. So based upon the value you provide to that variable, the variable have that data type. So this is why Python is called as dynamic data typing. So if you talk about any other programming language, what you have to do basically, you have to just write. If you talk about the C programming language, you just have to mention integer. You have to run the college and 56. But this is the case of in C programming language. You have to explicitly provide the data type of that variable. But in case of Python, you don't need to provide that data type of that variable. Okay. This is nothing but a dynamic typing in Python programming language. Um, I already told you like variable, creating variable and assigning new value to the variable. Now data types in Python. So already introduced you a couple of the data types just like integer, string, boolean. So there are other data types as well. Booleans is nothing but the true and false. Numbers is nothing but it number. When you talk about the numbers, there are different numbers like integers, floats, fraction, or even complex number. You can define inside the number. String is nothing but the set of the character. Byte is nothing but the byte array. This is like more about the machine level terms. Like when you execute any program, right? Suppose like if you are executing this line of code, so your computer doesn't know anything about this English. This English is for us. That is why we call it the high level programming language, because like it's understood by us, not by the computer. So basically what computer do is whenever we write any code in English language, they convert that into the bytecode so that your machine can understand. Basically, your machine only understands zero and ones. Zero and ones is like when you talk about if you are coming from the electronic background, right? There is a register that basically register only saves zeros and ones. So your computer can only understand bytes. Okay. So when you write any program in English language, that will be converted into the bytecode. So this is what the byte. Then there is a tuples. I will tell you about the tuples, sets, and there is a dictionary. Tuples and the set is nothing but the set of the objects. We can create the set of the object, or we can also call it as an array. But there are some differences between these two, tuples and sets. I will introduce you that. And there is a dictionary. Dictionary is nothing but the key value pair. So if you want to save any key value pair, we can use a dictionary. So on data type, yeah. So this is example. This is how the strings looks like. Like this is the syntax we should use. So whenever you want to create any string, you have to provide the you always have to give the codes. Okay. And then integer is nothing but the numbers. It can be integer, floats. There is also float, and then there is the list. So I already told you like tuples, list, and set. These are nothing but the array of the this is nothing but the array. It's like object. So this object can consist any data type. So this is the string, and this is one string. This is another string. This is a third string. This is fourth string. So this list is nothing but the set of the objects. Okay, object is nothing but the string, integer, float. It can be anything. Okay, and but we can perform type. There is this function. This is built-in function. So with this built-in function, you can find out the type of any variable or the object. Okay, just like we already have seen, when you give the type is equals to college, it's integer. When you provide the string to it and when you run this type college, you will see the type of the data type of the college is string. So basically we can use the type function here. So data types now coming to, we already seen the string, then I will talk about the list over here. So if you do the list operation, now I just want to create the list, right? So now I just want to create the list as a colleges. Um, Now I'll just give MIT University, and then I will just give IITs. These are the institutes, or like NITs. So it's not. This is nothing but the list now. So you can see that now. When I type this college on this console, right? From console, you can type the output by just providing the variable name, or you can just also put that inside the. You can also print inside the print function. So when you do that, you will see the MIT. Okay. Now, what happens? This is nothing but the set of the objects, and if I want to print particular, and these objects like will have index, like the index of this object is 0, index of this is nothing but the 1, index of this one is nothing but the 2. Suppose if I give colleges, and if I provide the index as equals to 0, it will print Amity. Sorry, I was doing college over here. Now I just want to print colleges, so it will print all the colleges that we have mentioned in that list. Okay. Now we can also give colleges. It will print that. Now I just want to type of. I just want to check the type of colleges. When you do that, it will show the type. The object. The type of this object is nothing but the Python list. Okay. Now I want to check the first element in this list. So what I can do is I can use the index. So as I told you, the index of the first element is 0. So when I do is when you provide a 0, it will print the first element. So the first element is nothing but the Amity. Okay. Now, if I want to print the second element, I have to give 1. This is just remember like the index start from the 0. Index of this first variable is 0. The index of the second element is 1. The index of the third element is 2, and so on. Now, if I want to do 2, this is nothing but the it will print the third variable. And this is positive indexing, and there is a concept of negative indexing as well in the Python. So what happens is like suppose we are just like here we just have the 3 elements in that list, but usually if you work on actual project, there will be like huge set of objects in that particular list, and it's not possible you to remember that. Like if you want to last element, right? So basically, if you want to access the last element, then basically what you have to do, you just have to calculate that index 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and you have to find out the last index of the last element. But this is not practical. So what happens is Python can use a negative indexing. So we can use also negative indexing. The negative indexing is like the index of the last element is nothing -1. The index of the second last element is -2, and so on. Suppose if you want to access the last element, what you have to do is you just have to give -1. When you do that, like it will print the last element. When you do -2, it will print the second last element. When you do 3, it will give third it will give third last elements from the Python list. And suppose like if we give some, just like if you're giving 5, it will throw an error. Like what error is saying list index out of range. Like we have, because like there are only 3 elements, and the index of this 3 element is 0, 1, 2 respectively, but we are passing 5. This is nothing but the out of our range. That is why we are getting this error. Okay. Now, if you want to, uh, you might be thinking like I'm just passing the string objects here in that list, but basically you can also provide the integer as well here. I'm just providing 78. I can do that, and now and all these values should be separated by the comma. Okay, when you do that, you can see this is our new list. Now I have added 78. Okay, now what happened is like I want to check number of elements in this Python list, right? So basically I can use list. I can just run the len colleges. When you do that, it will print the number of elements in that Python list. You can see that there are 4 elements in the Python list. Okay. Now this is how you can do that. Now max list sequence. Okay. So there are other functions also you can use on the Python list. I will create this numbers. I'm just creating another list. Here we are just putting the numbers out there. I'm just putting some random number. Okay. Now I can check the length of this. I can just check the data type. Now I just want to check I just want to find out what is the maximum or maximum numbers in that list. So what I can do, I just have to write max and I can just provide the numbers. When you do that, I will get the 78 because like 70 is like maximum numbers out of this, all of this number. Okay. I just want to find out the minimum number from that list. I can just start to change that max to min and it will print the minimum numbers. 2 is a minimum number. Okay. Now I just want to add a new element, right? So to that list, what I can do is numbers and I'm just using append. Append is nothing but to append new element to that list, right? Suppose like I'm appending 45. Now I'm just going to print that. So numbers, I'm just going to print that. So if you look into that, we just added earlier, this was our list. Now we have added 45 using this append function. Okay. Now we can also change the value of any variable. Suppose like I want to change this second element, right? So what I have to do is numbers, index of the second element. Index of second element is nothing but a 1. And I do 1 and I just have to mention any number, like I'm just not this one 94. Now I'm just printing numbers. You can see that we have changed this value using this index to 94. Okay. We can also perform a sum operation. If you do the sum operation on the numbers, what basically it does is like it just calculate the sum of all these elements and it will return us. So this is nothing but the sum of all these elements from the list. So these are the functions. There are other functions. There are a lot of functions out there you can use in the Python list. I will, if you look into, I will share this link with you. If you go here, if you go into the Python, this is a complete Python tutorials you can refer to. I already cover all the topics. The one of the topic is like Python list, and if you get into that, you can see these are the operations that you can perform. I just brief. I just given like few of them, but there are like lot of there are like lot of operations that you can perform. Slice operation, print, sum. There are like huge set of operations that you can perform. Already listed over here. You just don't need to take note of this. I will share this link with you post this tutorial or the session. Now, this is list operations that we have performed, type operation, then we already seen this indexing as well. Now the data type tuple. So basically, we already seen the list, right? So there is also another data type is the tuple. It's like a tuple is nothing but again, it's nothing but the set of the elements. Okay. Suppose when you provide this number of elements in the square bracket, it will consider as a list. And when you provide it into the circular bracket, then it will be considered as a tuple. So now if I do the type of numbers, so it is nothing but the tuple. Okay, this is a tuple. Now I can perform similar operations on the tuple, whatever we have performed earlier. Numbers, it will print the sum of those elements. I can just find the maximum element from that. Sorry, should be max. It will give the maximum element from that tuple. If I change it to min, it should return minimum element from that tuple. These are the operations. So and you can always access this. We can always access these tuples by index. Suppose like if I'm giving 1, it will print the second element. Okay, it should print 6. You can see that. So it's like you might be wondering like if you can perform the same operations on the Python list and tuple, then why we are using the tuple. there is a difference between tuple and the list. So basically, when you create the list, right? So we can change the value of that list. Like if you want to change any object in that list or the element in that list, you can do that. But in case of the tuple, we cannot do that. So earlier we perform append operation. Earlier we perform append operation. Sorry, okay, understand that. So numbers and append. Earlier we performed this operation on the list, and with that, right, we're able to add a new element, right? But where is that append? Yeah, we performed this operation. After that, like we added this 45 at the end of the list, right? So, but like if you try to perform this operation on the tuple, it will throw an error. It's like a tuple object has no attribute append because like we cannot change that value. Once you create that object, once you create the tuple, we cannot change that. We can suppose like you can see that like numbers, the second element is 6, right? So, but if you want to change that, suppose like numbers, I want to change the second element, the index of second element is 1. If I try to change that, right, if I'm providing like 56 and I do that, it will throw error. Object does not support the atom assignment because once you create the tuple, right, we can change that. That is the difference between list and the tuple. And both has different uses based upon the project requirement. We have to use the tuple or the list. If you are creating some tuple and you are already aware that like if you need an array sort of things, and if you are aware that this array is not going to choose is not going to change throughout your project, then you should use the tuple. But if you know that the value or the object in the list or array should change or like can be changed, then in that case you should always use the list. So these are the again the same operations we can perform. We can use the length, max, min operations on the tuple as well. Now I will just give you loop and condition statement. So for that we are going to use our IDE. Okay, just for the change. Suppose like I will just execute print hello world. When I click on run button, you can see your code is getting executed and you will see the output. Now, suppose like I have to print this hello world 10 times. So basically what you can do is you can just, you have to print this 10 times. So now if I execute this program, now you can see the output hello world. So it's getting print 10 times, right? No, but like if you want to perform same, if you want to execute the same line of code, it's like this is really nonsense. Like you have to print 10 times. But instead of that, what we can do here is we can use the loops. So basically, how does that loop works is they just have to give for. This is a syntax for that. I in range of 10. This is a syntax. So what does that syntax means is, and after that you just have to give colon and then you have to give tab. This is nothing but the indentation. We call it as a indentation. What So basically what we are doing to do is like we are executing this line 10 times. So if we execute this code, we'll get the output hello world 10 times. Syntax. So basically what happens is like if you're working on different programming language like C, C++, Java, Python, simultaneously you get sometimes you get confused with the syntax because usually this syntax like providing the for conditions this usually we write in C, C++ and Java. Okay. So now you can see that we are getting the same output, but we just have written the 2 lines of code here. So basically what happens is like when you put anything inside the for loop, so that with that content inside the block, this is nothing but a one block. Okay. This is nothing but a one block and we have written inside the for loop. So that will be executed multiple times. This will printed multiple times. I will just I'm just like giving user stack ID. If I do that, so let's see what output we're getting here. So you see that hello world is getting printed 10 times, but the CSS tag ID is getting printed only one time because this sentence is inside the for loop and this is nothing but the indentation that we say. Like you can add any print statement here, like what is like Python and just I am executing. So this is again, this line comes inside this for loop. And we can describe the block using the indentation. So you can see that first time when we're running, it's printing this two sentence hello world and Python. Then again hello world and Python. This will get printed 10 times. And at the end, we are printing CSS tag ID. This line of code is getting executed only once because we are written this outside of this for loop. Okay, this is how the for loop works. And similarly, you can also write the while loop. Uh, that is, these are the mainly two loops that we use in Python, while loop and for loop. I already demonstrate some example over here, like if you get into the looping, right? Something is, for loop or while loop. These are the examples like for loop. This is like for loop we are using. So similar to that, we can also use a while loop. Okay, this is while loop. This is the condition that you have to provide and it will execute the code. Okay. Now, coming to next slide, we can also use a conditional statement. We are almost over the time, so I will keep it first. I will just discuss some of the important points here. Now, we can use also conditional statement if suppose like I'm just writing, I will just score is equals to 67. Now I like if score is equals to greater than 40, then I will just print pass or else print fail. So if you execute this code, right? So you will see the output. So basically score is 67. If this condition is true, then if statement will block of if block will be executed. So here we are getting pass. Okay, because this condition is true. Now if I change this score to because like the value of the score is greater than 40, so that means he is passed. Suppose like if someone is scoring 35, I'm just providing here. Now this condition will false. Right? Now this code will get executed. Now you can see that fail. This is how the if statement works. Okay. So similar to that, there is if else statement, nested if statement. So this is this is basics about the Python. This is very high level basics. The intention of this going through this tutorial learning is like is not to remember each and every syntax or like you will. I cannot say that like you will be expert in that, but the intention is that you should get familiar with the Python programming language. What is the uses and why you use the Python programming language. Okay. And these are the important Python libraries. So once you get the hands-on on the Python programming language, you have to choose field where you want to go, right? So basically, you can be a machine learning developer. So you can get into the artificial intelligence. You can get into the neural networking. You can get into networking, then the text processing, data science, web development, whatever. Okay. So there are a lot of fields out there you can get into once you get good hands on with the Python. So you have to choose that, and based upon your field or your choice, you have to leverage the Python technology. Suppose like I'm into the web development, my primary role into the web development, I am working as a backend developer. So I have explored the Django, Flask, Bottle framework, beautiful. So these are the libraries you can use. So when you work on any project, right? So what does that library means is if you're working on any project, you don't have to write the syntax, or like you don't need to write the code from the scratch. There is like you can just import these libraries and you can use them. So in if you want to get into the machine learning, PyML, PyBrain, scikit-learn, these are the libraries you can use. If you want to get into the AI, these are the libraries. If you want to get into data science, pandas, numpy, sky skypy, then ipython. Okay, these are the libraries primarily used for the data science, and pandas and numpy is very popular. Okay. So this, if you get into this one, so I just mentioned the points over here, but if you want to know details about this Python programming language, uh, I already described all these libraries out here. Right? It's not possible to cover all these libraries over here right now, but you can go through this one, and I can say that 95 Python job opportunities goes around these Python libraries. So if you like want to really get, if you are interested to pursue your career in the Python development, you should get familiar with this 39 most useful Python libraries. This is my own recommendation. You can just go through that. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. So these are the resources. I will just paste these resources, but before getting into that, I will just we already over the time, so I will just tell you about the. I will just tell you what we can do with the Python. Okay. So, and with the very few line of code, what you can do, as I told you, like I will also tell you how the Python can be used for data-driven technology. Right? So, and I told you like that. I told you like three platforms where you can use the Python. One is like Python prompt, and other is like you can execute the Python script. You can write the code in the notepad and you can execute that. And after that, I already shown you this online ID where you can execute the code. Now the fourth way to execute your code is like Jupyter. Okay, this is nothing but the Jupyter notebook, but for that you have to do the installation. So I'm not going to get into that because it will take a time. It requires entire new session, but I will just execute the code here. So now here, what is the purpose of this Python Jupyter is like we can execute bunch of the code at a time and you will get the output. This is one unit. This is another unit. Now, if I put the cursor over here and if you hit the run button, it will execute that. Now, as I told you, like Python has a huge set of libraries. So, and those libraries has already written and open source. You just have to import them. So I'm just importing this library. This is nothing but the finance related library. This is Matplotlib and this is Pendulum. I will tell you like what is the use of this three library. But just for the sake, and the intention of going through this application is not, you should not, it's not required. You should know each and every technical terms, but just to give you a brief like what we can do with the Python programming language. Okay. Now, suppose like you all know that about the US stocks. So, and almost like everyone is about knowing about the Tesla, right? So they are into the electrical vehicle. So if you want to know the stocks of that Tesla, right? So if I click over here, you can see that this code is getting executed. When you see the stars over here, it's executed and we got the output. Okay. Now, okay, what information? So this is just a one line of code. You can see that we are just written. We have just imported this library with the three line, and we are just like this is the comment. I can just remove this one. Just like two lines of code right here. With these two lines of code, you will be amazed like what information we are collecting. So this is the information that we collected. So it contains a zip, then long business summary. This is long business summary about the uh, Tesla. This is the website. This is the website of the Tesla. This is their official phone number. This is the state where they're executing from. This is the country of the office, main office, and then current stock price, target media price. I mean, like there is huge information that we are with the just two line of code. We got the huge information about the Tesla. Now, I'm only interested in business summary or like, suppose like website. I'm just interested in the website, right? What is their official website? So I can just provide over here. Control C. Now I'm just executing this code again. You can see that this block is getting executed whenever you see the task. You can see that we got the website name Tesla. Okay. And similar to that, you can just name any stock name over here and you will get the information about that. Okay. You just have to mention the token, stock token. Now this is just like a 4 line of code. Yeah, I'm just executing this one. This one you will see the market price is 303 USD dollar for the Tesla. This is the previously when the day was closed, the previous stock price was 302. This is stock price for the Tesla, and we can get huge lot of data. It's like suppose like I want to get the history of the Tesla from the last 5 years, like how their stock is doing over the years, like for the last 5 years. So what we can do is I'm just writing this 4 line of code. When you do that, you can see that the market is open. Okay, yeah, for this date, right? This is the date we have collected data from 2017 to 2022 till today's date. No, it's like yesterday's days, I guess. Yeah. So we have collected data from that time. So in 2017, 18, 9, right? So the opening price of the stock was 25 USD. High, it went up to high 25, and the low that has recorded was 25, and this is they close it as this value, and this is the total volume of the stock. And now, so here, like this is the opening in 2017, and if you look into the today's market, it has in last 5 years, they have the stock for the Tesla has changed from 25 to 301. Okay? And this is like huge information that we have collected with the just few line of code. Now, and it's not possible for us to go through all these information because like uh, it contains total. Yeah, it contains total 1258 entries, and it's not possible for us to go through all this. What we can do is we can just put them on a graph, just like this is 3 4 line of code. I'm just clicking over here, and you can see the stock price, how the stock is doing over the year. We just put that in using the matplotlib library. So basically, to get all this information, we are using this PyFinance model, and to show that graph into the graph, right? To show that into the graph, we are using matplotlib libraries. So this is how you can use the Python programming language. Uh, and this is just a one use case. There are a lot of use cases. That is why the Python is so popular today. You can just already have this. This is my own Python like YouTube channel where I talk about the Python programming language. In this session, we would not be able to cover each and every detail, but if you are interested in, you can just go through this one. I will share this link as well in the comment. Um, you can just subscribe that so that you will be notified. Here I already explained top 9 Python applications where you can use the Python programming language. Yeah. Um, I will just share that. So, yeah. So, yeah, chat option. I'm just putting that into the chat. Okay. I think like
So
I'm
we
not
will,
able to post. Yeah.
excuse me, sir. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we will also
Uh,
be sharing these
yeah.
these resources with the students
Yeah.
via the mail also.
Yeah. So
So,
I will
so
just share these resources as well. I'll just put
yes,
that
sir.
in the comment. I'm not able to share it everyone, but you can just share that with your students.
Yes, sir. So these are the same ones that we gave for UG, right? For the PG
Yes,
students, right?
exactly
Yes,
the
sir. So,
same one.
so we have the same resources. We will share with them with the students also.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Just can we
This
now
is
move on to the quiz, sir?
yeah. So basically, competitive
Yes.
coding questions. You have that link. Sorry for that. I already missed.
Quiz link, yes,
Let
sir.
me.
So I'm just
Please,
checking, sir.
right? Yeah. Yeah. I got it. Yes. Hold on. I already pasted that link. You can share with your students. So I hope like everyone enjoy this tutorials or these sessions. And I hope like you got something new to learn about Python programming language, why it's popular and why it's going to be game changing or the career changing for you as well. So just to make it like I just wanted to know like how many people like whatever I was teaching, like I just wanted to know like how you're performing or like you are trying to grab the knowledge from the sessions. We are just have this not coding contest. This is just like a MCQ questions where you will be having 30 questions and you will have like 15 minutes. You can just put your email ID. So, and you can just start the quiz here. You can see all the questions out there and you can just jump to any questions and then you have 15 minutes. No, sorry, you have 20 minutes. You can just finish this quiz in 20 minutes. Yeah. So now I will open for the questions if anyone has. So the question is coming from the Harshit. Good morning, sir. I'm the student of the law, BLLB. I've always been interested in the field of coding and development. Is it possible for the law students like me to be able to study the coding as well as pursue my coding degree after the law? What would be the prospect and law student pursuing coding? So basically, what I would say is like Python is the power of the Python is the power of the Python is like libraries that they are providing. There are a lot of open source libraries out there. So one of the use case like earlier people were saying like I am coming from the finance background, how I can use the Python programming language, right? So so for that, like I demonstrate you like how you can read the stocks, US stocks market. You can with just 2 line of code, you can get entire US stock market on your computer or the laptop, right? Similar to that, there is always scope to connect the dots. So if even if you wanted to connect, like you being LLB, and if you know the coding, it's like you can be a different asset in this world, and there is always demand. Suppose like you are really keen to the programming and uh, I'm not able to exactly recollect to give you some use case without LLB for this. But like if you wanted to suppose like there are like laws, right? We have that laws and the code. For you, one of the application that you can develop is like using the Python is like there are a lot of books out there like you have to go through those books to read the laws, right? So basically what you have to do is you can create some application where you can provide your code and with that code it will give you all the laws belonging to that particular code. This is just one application that I'm able to recollect, but there will be a lot of use cases around that. So you can there is always scope to connect the dots. Mm, Definitely, is Pavan just enough for the programming on AI? Do we need to learn other programming language? So, it's like to start with, like when you talk about the web development, right? So there are like a lot of programming language. So we use the web development. We use the Python for web development, right? So in that case, like we for front end development, we use different programming language. For back end, we use different programming language because like every technology has its scope and expertise in that field. similar to that, like you can do almost everything in the when you talk of the artificial intelligence, you can do almost everything using the Python. But like you can, but like somewhere you will realize that like Python is not meant for that particular task in the AI. In that case, you have to use the other programming language which provide that expertise. But at least definitely you can start with the Python programming language and you can use it for the AI. Due to network connection, I missed out in between from the college and stuff. Where can I get the recording? So this is a question for the Divya. Divya has already replied
Yes,
to
sir.
that.
So we will be providing all the students with the recording as soon as we get it from IT.
Okay, all right, that sounds good. Yeah. Yeah. Over to you, Dun. Thanks.
Thank you so much, sir. Sir, so
Yeah.
first of all, I would like all the students to complete their quiz by 11:45, as we will be having the result announcement during the valedictory, that is from 2:15 to 3:30 in F2 auditorium. Uh, so, sir, I feel extremely privileged to have this opportunity on behalf of the entire club to present the vote of thanks. Starting with our dear sir, a big thank you, sir, for conducting this workshop so beautifully and inspiring our students to explore the realm of Python. We look forward
Yeah.
to more such insightful sessions in the coming time at the club and equip our students with the digital skill sets very much required in the contemporary times. We would also like to thank our respected chairperson, Dr. Alpana Ma'am, who is also the Dean of Student Support and Academic Affairs, for playing a vital role in the event. Ma'am is the reason and our inspiration for the planning and organizing of all the workshops that we have conducted so far for the orientation. Thank you once again for sharing your valuable time with our young and dynamic minds here, sir, at Amity University, and we look forward to conducting more such insightful workshops with you in the near future.
Yeah.
So I would
So
also like
thanks.
to, sir, could you please send the results of the quiz by 12?
Yeah. Just let me know when it is done. Probably I will share that with you.
So for the students, the quiz, we have given a time of 30 minutes to complete the quiz. So
Mhm.
to all the participants have a time till 11:45 to complete the quiz.
Mhm. Okay.
So
Okay.
after
That
that,
sounds good.
no more entries will be considered.
Okay. Yeah. Sure. Thank you. It was privilege coming to you, connecting with you, young minds.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Sure.